Hey, what's up guys? It's Unrivaled Technomichi here, and today I'm going to be doing a breakdown on sparring with beginners slash sparring tips. Now, getting right into it, number one, the first thing that I want a lot more guys to, and girls, to start embedding into their head is that there are no winners in sparring. This is not the time for you to try and bring your ego into it and just hurt the other person that you're working with. This is an opportunity for you to find your flaws. This is an opportunity for you to help your partner find their flaws. This is an opportunity to try out new skills. Maybe work on your southpaw stance if you're not that good in southpaw. Maybe work on your head movement. Now is not the time for you to just put your ego on the table. In this match specifically, I have a lot more experience in fighting in general, and then specifically boxing being my foundation with my brother. I do MMA now, but my foundation was boxing. So there is a decent amount of outclassing in terms of technicality that I just have. But that doesn't mean this is an opportunity to just beat on my opponent. So throughout the whole rounds, you're going to see that I'm kind of playing with him. My point is more so to show him, yo, people hit, people punch back, people move, they react, they move erratically. You could get hit here. There's a couple times where I had openings on him, but I chose not to strike, but more so just to feint the strike to show him the possibility of the strike. So right here, he gassed out, and now I'm about to give him a little bit of advice.
When you actually get that jab or that cross and you connect, the mistake you make is you get a punch and then you back up. As you said, no. If you get a punch and you land it, you don't just back up away from the person. When you're shifting your weight for the sense of power and recoil. When I say bring your hand back. You don't want to bring your whole body back like this when you're already in an advantage. Especially with my reach and your reach being relatively equal. If you understand that you're bigger than me, you're trying to put me in a position where you're smothered. If I could keep you outside, I'm going to keep you outside. You're a lot bigger than me. I'm not trying to fight inside with you. So when you land that first punch and you have that space that you just won, don't give it up. Especially if you already landed a punch. You can stay here. You don't have to keep going, but don't give up the advantage that you just got. Because there's a lot of times where you land a good punch, then you back up. And that gives me enough time to not only reset myself, but to start piecing you up. Because now I'm seeing you're scared. You know what I mean? So when you're in that position to where you're ahead, or you have that distance, manage the distance. When you actually start landing punches, remember, it's a fight for control. But that was good.
When you're sparring, treat it like playtime. You know, try out that new move that you want to try. Try out different styles, see what suits you best. You know, it doesn't have to be do or die every single time you spar. There's multiple different styles and ways that you can spar. You can go balls to the wall and just try to gas out. But this is one of those matches where I was really emphasizing showing him the distance management that's necessary in a fight. So I'm just doing my best throughout all of these matches to very much stay in control and gauge the distance without overwhelming him. And also still showing him, hey, you could get hit here. Hey, you could get hit here. Look alive, look alive. Another thing that's important, guys, and unfortunately I didn't get to get the entirety of all of our clips just because the way that I had the camera positioned, I wasn't able to get a lot of the shots necessary. And next time I'm going to bring my tripod so that way I could give you guys a wider angle and you could see more. But he did hit me a decent amount of times. And even if we agree to go 20-30%, he's still a lot bigger than I am, so therefore he's going to hit a lot harder than I do. And in knowing that, it is my job to take those punches on the chin more so and not just try to turn up the intensity, because it could easily just turn into a fight. I mean, when you're sparring, when you get hit with a good hit, take it on the chin and do your best to maintain the intensity. If you see that your partner's trying to turn it up, then you start to turn it up. If you get hit with a couple good strikes and your partner's trying to turn up the heat, that's when you turn up the heat. But if you see your partner's just throwing some punches and they're still trying to get an idea of control, punch control, like I understand that he's still trying to get an idea of punch control, now's not the time to wail on him just because I'm upset that I got hit. Reality is, if they got a hit on you, they got a hit on you. Just take what you can learn from it and keep going. A punch in the face is just a punch in the face. And that's one important thing to remember when it comes to sparring and fighting in general. Don't start getting emotional and being stupid because you got hit in the face. A punch in the face is just that. You know what you signed up for. Another important thing is to make sure that you guys actually sit and record your sparring matches or just your training in general. Just looking at my brother here, there's a lot that I want to emphasize when I go back to train with him in terms of really putting extra emphasis on his footwork, because it's a bit choppy and it leads to him being put in a lot of uncomfortable positions. So even here, when the footwork is off, you could see it's easy. He just topples over, and I called him real quick just to make sure he was okay. So we're just keeping it light, keeping it playful. Here I find a lot of openings on him, and I just tap him up just to show him, like, hey, you could have got hit here. So you got to be careful with that. It doesn't always have to be punishment. When it comes to sparring in general, I feel like the thing that needs to be focused on the most is the mentality going into it. Having a good level head and knowing what you're getting into before you get into it will really prevent a lot of just sparring incidents from happening and just a lot of unnecessary, aggression from both parties. And it really stops you from learning as much as you could from each other. By all means, if you and your partner mutually agree that you want to turn it up, then go ahead and turn up the heat. I'm not against standing and banging. I'm not against, really getting after it and just going full blast. I feel like you learn that way too, and it's great. And I've definitely done that with a couple of my friends. But just remember that there's a time and a place for each training style. Another tip, just to avoid gassing out too early if you're working on a more technical sparring round like I am, is not every punch has to be a power punch. As a matter of fact, I don't even think I threw that many, if any, power punches at all with like the 30-40% that I was going at. Breathe when you're throwing your punches and pace your punches, pace your combinations. You don't have to throw everything with full power, full grace. You're touching your opponent, you're tapping them up. Now's the time to play with angles. Now's the time to play with setups. Maybe throw a light jab or two. Get them real comfortable with your jab, and then that's when you stick them with your cross. Or you throw a couple jabs, and then you take that same jab and you throw a tall man hook. That's the time to get more creative with your shots and your punches. So now I'm starting to turn it up a little bit in terms of my offensive movement. I'm trying to throw a couple more feints in the mix just to get him more accustomed to the fact that not every strike that's being thrown is actually a strike. Seeing how he reacts, gauging him, kind of just playing with him a bit, seeing where his head is at. So right here, he's about to throw his cross, and he does fall from this because his foot comes off the ground. He isn't grounded in his strike.
That's what I was saying, like when you're hitting the bag, it's focused right, left, back, forward, maybe. If you're not used to it, you're gonna go like this. And then all I gotta do is glove it.
So right there, I was just giving him a little bit of advice on his footwork, just making sure that he really understands that he has to have a foundation with the ground if he wants to be a good fighter. See right there, again, his foot kind of comes off the ground when he's throwing some of these punches, and he's still getting used to everything. I knew I wanted to start implementing more sparring with him because that, in my opinion, is the best teacher. Having some type of actual fighting simulation experience is the best way to learn as a fighter. You could punch the bag as much as you want. You could shadow box as much as you want. You could watch as many YouTube videos as you want. If you don't actually spar, if you don't actually, have some type of combat simulation, you're not really going to know what to do, and you're just going to have a lot of theory. Fight theory is good to a certain degree. It's cool to sit down and think and theorize about different ways to fight, but nothing beats actually getting your hands dirty. So I hope you guys enjoyed the sparring breakdown. I definitely will have more in the future. I hope this video did help you guys on your journey, and I hope we all continue to grow together.